Let's talk about the entitlement mentality in modern urban women. And this is a red pill perspective on relationship dynamics. And the dynamics of modern relationships have undergone a significant shift, particularly in urban areas where cultural, social, and economic changes have influenced the behavior and expectations of women. So from the rise of social media to the proliferation of feminist ideologies, the modern urban woman has been conditioned to adopt an entitlement mentality that only prioritizes her needs and desires over mutual responsibilities that are required to sustain healthy relationships. Yeah. So in this, we'll cover, or rather explore the entitlement mentality among urban women, its impact on, and also its impact on relationships, and how it has contributed to the decline of long-term commitments, and also the rise of hookup culture and the normalization of transactional relationships, because this all stem from the entitlement of women. And the analysis of this will be approached from a red pill perspective, because this emphasizes the understanding of gender dynamics, hypergamy, and the inherent differences between male and female nature. Yeah. So number one, the entitlement mentality. So let's talk about origins and manifestations. So the entitlement mentality among urban women can be traced from several cultural and societal factors. So the feminist movement, while initially focused on achieving equality, has evolved into a narrative that often promotes female superiority and the prioritization of women's needs. This has been exacerbated by social media platforms, where women are encouraged to adopt labels such as princess, boss babe, and I'm the table, reinforcing the idea that they deserve special treatment without corresponding effort or contribution. Let's start with the princess treatment. Many urban women demand to be treated like royalty, expecting men to cater to their every need while offering little in return. This one-sided dynamic creates an imbalance in relationship where a man's needs are disregarded. Let's also talk about hypergamy and the alpha fucks, the beta bucks, mentality, whereby a red pill highlights women's innate hypergamous nature, where they seek the best possible mate for short-term excitement, which are alpha males, or rather alpha traits, and long-term security, beta traits. Urban women, empowered by entitlement mentality, often exploit these dynamics by pursuing high-status men for resources while engaging in casual relationships with others. We also have to talk about the rejection of traditional roles, whereby modern urban women often reject traditional gender roles and viewing them basically as oppressive. However, they simultaneously expect men to fulfill traditional provider roles without reciprocating with nurturing or supportive behaviors. And this contradiction, of course, undermines the foundation of sustainable relationship. Then how does this impact relationships? So the entitlement mentality has profound implications, as you can tell, for long-term relationships, and it leads to breakdown of in communication, mutual respect, and long-term commitment. Yeah. So number one, there is lack of reciprocity, as we have said, whereby relationships thrive on mutual effort and contribution. However, entitled women often focus solely on their own needs, neglecting the emotional, physical, and psychological needs of their partners. And this can always create resentment and dissatisfaction, and this can lead to eventual collapse of the relationship. Yeah. So short-term relationships and hookup culture The inability to commit to a balanced, mutually and beneficial relationships has driven many urban women to embrace hookup culture. By prioritizing their own desires and avoiding the responsibilities of a committed relationship, they engage in a transient non-committal interactions that offer immediate gratification but lack depth and longevity. Transactional relationships, let's talk about those. So the entitlement mentality has also normalized transactional relationships where women date married men or become side chicks in exchange for financial gain or social status. This behavior reflects a lack of respect for the sanctity of relationship and a willingness to exploit others for personal benefit. So let's talk about the role of social media and popular culture in all this. So social media and popular culture have played a very significant role in perpetuating the entitlement mentality among urban women. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok glorify materialism, superficiality, and also the bad bitch archetype. And this encourages women to prioritize their image and also personal desires over meaningful connections, and that's very sad, to be honest. So let's begin by talking about the bad bitch phenomenon, whereby the glorification of the bad bitch persona promotes a self-centered confrontational attitude that is incompatible with the cooperation and compromise required for healthy relationships. Women who adopt this persona often view men as disposable and relationships as transactional. Also, let's talk about validation seeking, and we can say that social media fosters a culture of validation seeking. Where women measure their self-worth by the number of likes, comments, and followers they receive on social media. And this external validation reinforces their entitlement mentality, as they come to expect similar adoration and attention in their relationships. So they are trying to compare themselves. If they are getting more likes, more comments, more followers on social media, so they accept the same validation happens in their relationships. But then they fail to differentiate that the social media life and the real life are completely different things. Let's talk about the red pill perspective on the solutions. So from a red pill perspective, addressing the entitlement mentality requires, of course, a fundamental shift in how women and men approach relationships. So both divides. And this involves recognizing the inherent differences between the sexes, understanding the importance of mutual effort, and rejecting the toxic narratives promoted by modern culture. And number one, we can begin by reinstating traditional values, whereby, while not advocating for a return of oppressive gender roles that used to be there, the red pill emphasizes the values of traditional relationship dynamics, where both genders contribute equally but in complementary ways. So women must learn to balance their independence with the nurturing and supportive behaviors that can be able to foster long-term commitments. So male self-improvement. So also men must take responsibility for their role in enabling the entitlement mentality. Of course, there are simps who are enabling this, so we are also asking those men to kind of accept. Of course, most of them don't accept that they are part to blame in enabling entitlement mentality. So by focusing on self-improvement, setting boundaries, and refusing to tolerate one-sided relationships, men can encourage women to adopt more balanced and respective behaviors. And also, let's talk about rejecting toxic femininity. And just as toxic masculinity is detrimental to relationships, also toxic femininity manifested through entitlement, manipulation, and exploitation must also be addressed. Women must be encouraged to embrace qualities such as empathy, accountability, and cooperation. So in conclusion, what are we saying? So the entitlement among urban women has significantly altered the landscape of modern dating, or other relationships. And this has led to decline of long-term commitments or relationship, and also the rise of hookup culture and transactional dynamics. And from a red pill perspective, the issue stems from a combination of cultural, social, and psychological factors that have distorted women's expectations and behaviors. So to restore the balance and sustainability to relationships, both men and women must always reject toxic narratives, embrace mutual effort, and recognize the importance of complementary roles. So only by addressing the root causes of entitlement can we hope to foster healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the modern era. So that's me coming to an end, and I hope that you have learned something. So as we have said, is for us to contribute mutually as men and women, so that we can be able to lead, because at the end of the day, we want a successful, functional society. I don't know if you agree or disagree. Let me know in the comments. Of course, if you also have something you want to add on the top, then do so in our comments. As always, if you are new here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to follow, don't forget to like, and also you can be able to share to your fellow beings. As always, we appreciate your support, and may God